Hey everybody. Bicycle transportation has become a very popular thing in a lot of cities and towns. Reasons being high gas prices. A lot of people like to get out and get some good exercise and stuff. For the most part, most cities and towns have done a great job in modernizing the streets and everything for bicycle transportation. Huntersville, North Carolina in particular, and the Charlotte area have been putting in what's called bike lanes. They've had the addition of greenways and all that sort of stuff. But there's still one big thing that you always have to look at when it comes to bicycle transportation. You may have all these bicycle lanes and these greenways and stuff, but you gotta be sure the traffic lights will work when bicycles pull up on them. Majority of traffic signals nowadays use inductive loop detectors to sense when there is a waiting vehicle at a side approach or in a left turn lane. This will determine whether the light will turn green. Many intersections have sensors like these called quadrupole or type Q sensors. These are probably one of the more commonly used sensors nowadays. They're pretty reliable if you know where to stop. Now some signals use these older types of sensors, and what's sad is some of them, even brand new signals, still use these kinds of sensors. These are old simple dipole detectors that are in the form of a rectangle or a simple circle loop. I don't like these, but they can work if they are properly configured. And of course, some signals, new signals, have video detection, which is probably the most reliable kind of detection for small vehicles such as bicycles, even carbon fiber bikes for that matter. Now of course, when you pull up to a side road, if you can see the sensor like this, you'll pull up on the center saw cut, because in quadrupole sensors, this is the most sensitive portion of the detector. Now in some cases, if the signal is not properly adjusted, you can try leaning your bike to the right hand side to get your cranks, chain, derailleur, all that stuff close to the ground to get more metal close to the sensor, and sometimes that'll trigger it. And in some cases, if a traffic signal has a small right turn detector loop, you can pull up to this and put your front wheel over the corner of this loop, and sometimes that'll work. In some cases, you'll pull up to a side road and only one sensor works. There are some intersections to where the straight through sensor doesn't detect me, but the left hand sensor does. It's really weird because majority of traffic signals do have separate amplifiers for each detector loop, and that's the reason why this may occur. And let's say if you're cruising down the road at a pretty fast speed and here comes a car approaching the intersection, if there's no other cars behind you, hit this loop right here. This is the passive traffic sensor. If there's no traffic detected by this sensor and the light is configured to do so, it will change immediately for the car that's pulling up to this side road. Now when there is traffic, it'll wait for the traffic to clear the intersection before it will change. So hit this sensor right here if you're seeing a car approaching the intersection. This way you want to slam on your brakes for a yellow light. Now also, let's say there's a lot of traffic and you're at a left turn yield light, such as the new flashing yellow signal. Pull up on the sensor to where you'll be detected, and sometimes you'll get a green light. Now of course, this is a definite must if you're at a signal like this, where you have to have it turn green in order to go. Now when it comes to dipole detectors, you have to stop either here or here, because stop in the middle, you won't get detected because there's nothing there to detect you. You see, the thing about cars is big cars have a lot more metal, and it's more or less horizontally across the sensor. That's why cars rarely ever have issues with being detected. But I've read on the forums, and there's actually been some rare cases to where humongous trucks, like cement trucks that sit high off the ground, have been undetected. It's really weird. And of course, when it comes to video detectors, you stop in the center of the lane, keep your body forward, and if it's at night and there's no street lights, turn your headlight up toward the camera facing you. So that way the processor in the video detection system will recognize that you're waiting for a light change. Now in some cases, these, even when you properly position yourself over the detectors, you will still get undetected. And this is a very common problem with some signals. For example, Charlotte, North Carolina, they have their own DOT and their own traffic signals. And of course, they use dipole loops, which are not the best quality sensors. But to add on to that, they'll have the amplifiers set way too low for bike detection. And there have been cases where I had to sit at a light for several minutes because the main road was busy with traffic and the side road had no cars on at all. And there are also a lot of cases to where they will lay these sensors and then pave them over. And when this happens, you kind of have to guess where the best spot is located on these things. And some places will actually put down markings over the best spot. Only some cities and towns do that, which I think it should be mandatory for all cities and towns to do that. But in cases where the sensors get paved over, you kind of have to guess where they're located. Now in North Carolina, in their section of the DOT, NCDOT, where they install the traffic signals, I've seen to where they'll usually locate the sensors either slightly right of the center of the lane, or in some cases they'll have them located slightly left of the center of the lane. And of course, in Charlotte, where they use these kind of detectors, you'd stop, I'd say about 1 or 2 feet away from the edge of the road, and usually you get detected. Now, of course, majority of the time in Charlotte, you don't get detected anyway, so it don't really matter. So anyways, like I was saying, there are some traffic signals out there that even when you pull up and wait properly on the sensor, you still won't get detected. This is the reason why I do these traffic light tests, to pick out which lights work and which ones don't. I done a test in 2010, and I got pretty good results out of lights installed by NCDOT. Now, I didn't include lights in Charlotte DOT because more or less all of them received Fs, with the exception of one. And last year, in 2011, I performed the tests again, and this is the video I'm submitting my results in. Quite a few of the traffic signals that gave me problems last year were fixed for this year, and there are also some new signals installed. And anyways, here are my results for 2011. Here comes a car. Notice the light changes almost immediately.